destroying your family or going bankrupt, is the well-known family attorney Laura Wasser. Laura, nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
You tell me, I mean, all of these names that we know, Kim Kardashian, Angelina Jolie, all these people, is a celebrity divorce different than a regular person divorce?
Not really. I mean, the media play into it is definitely different, so that's something that we have to concentrate on. But for the most part, and the reason I wrote the book is you can add or subtract some zeros from the estate or from the income, and people going through a divorce are still experiencing the same hurt and anger and anxiety about what the future is going to look like for them and their children if they have them.
If someone is at home watching right now and thinking, you know, I need to pull the trigger, is there a first step? I mean, is it to pick up the phone and call the attorney? Is it to call a mediation person? What do you do?
I think a lot of it depends on your circumstances, but I think one of the first steps is to maybe see if there's some way of being able to work it out. I don't know if people are going to go to counseling or to a clergy person, but pulling the trigger too quickly definitely can lead to disastrous results. Maybe you don't really want to get divorced, maybe you can work it out, or if your first call is to a divorce attorney, sometimes that's a step you may not end up taking.
Now, you've seen a lot of this go down, being an attorney. What are the main reasons that people get divorced?
I think the main reasons that people get divorced is that they don't communicate properly. Maybe even before they get married, they haven't had conversations about what each of their expectations are. So I think that's really important, and I talk to people about that if they're doing prenuptial agreements or if they're thinking about moving in together even. And then throughout their marriage, I mean, people grow, they change. Sometimes you have to, you know, manipulate how the deal is going between the two of you. If one person is not going to work anymore because she's had children, that's something that needs to be discussed. And I think when people don't speak about things, then they don't have a meeting of the minds, and that's what leads to the other things that you would think would be problems, like extramarital affairs and these things that you think, oh, that's the main cause of divorce. It's not. It's a lack of communication.
You're talking about children, and I mean, in your expertise, people must come to you and say, we're trying to stay together for the children. You've seen that time and again. How do you counsel those people?
I wouldn't tell anyone not to stay together for their children, but I will say this. In this day and age, I think it's healthier for kids to have two parents who are happy, even if they're not living under the same roof, and able to co-parent them and make them feel like they are the priority, than two miserable parents that are staying together for the children. And I know it's possible. I know it's doable. We have so many tools available to us to be able to co-parent and have children move back and forth, or have children stay in the house and the parents move back and forth. It's doable, I promise.
Okay, so let's get to it. We're trying to figure out how to save it. It's not going to happen. What are the mistakes people make that make them so bitter? Do you see overall?
Yes.
Or and personally, I got to say, it's when you involve lawyers. That's because I've seen many a couple go, this is going to be great. Then one gets lawyered, the other one, and that's what it all.
Sometimes we do make it more difficult than it needs to be, and the reason is, and I was saying this at the break, we get paid because other people are miserable. So if there is a way that you and your spouse can sit down and say, okay, what is it that we need to do? What do I need? What do you need? What's important to you? And then have the lawyers come in kind of just to direct you through the process, rather than them being master of the universe. You be the master of your own destiny. You control the show. I think one of the problems that people make is they don't handle their dissolution like a business transaction, and that's what it is. There is a time and a place for the emotions and airing your grievances and the venting. Absolutely do it. I'm not saying don't do it, but don't do it with your lawyer. We're too expensive to listen to that. We know you don't like your ex-spouse. That's why you're not going to be with them anymore.
You know what, and I wish I didn't know this stuff, but I do. There is a computer program called a Dissomaster, right?
Dissomaster, yeah.
And isn't the fact of the matter is, in pretty much 10 minutes, you can find out how it's going to end up, right?
That's right. I say to people all the time, here's your situation, and with very few exceptions, here's what will likely happen. It'll be half and half, and this is how much support there will be, and this is a good kind of a custody plan. Here's the only variable: how much money you guys are going to spend on attorneys, and how much anger and resentment and animosity is going to go on during this process. If you can limit those two things that are the variables, you're in great shape.
John Blunt. There it is.